Oh my goodness me, get a look at that. Oh, these conditions are absolutely superb. Beauty.
A big thank you to MPB for sponsoring today's video.
So I don't know what's going on here. We've got a little bit of a hold up. As you can see in the background, I don't know what it is. I'm only about 10 minutes from my destination as well. I'm going to be doing a hike, by the way, a Wainwright. A lot of you will be glad to hear. We'll get into that when I start. But for now, I'm going to get my sandwich out, which is meant to be for the hike, my ham mayonnaise sandwich. But because we've got this going on, I'm going to snaffle it now. So, yeah, and chill out for a bit here. Let whatever's going on pass, and then I shall meet you at the base of today's hike. Quality. We've got a few drops of rain and everything. Look at this. I've got to show you. We have got off in the background there. Look at that. Look how dark it is. Look how dark it is. Bright. I was meant to say bright. Friggin' hell. I've ruined it. Look how bright it is. And then behind me here, look how dark it is. Got it right. That is what I love when I come out in the fells, man, when it's so changeable. It's raining. I'm diving over fords and puddles here. Oh, quality. That's just reminded me, hopping over that thing there. I want to ask you for some advice. I need a new pair of hiking boots. And yeah, if you've got some, a good amount of experience with some boots, don't just throw any old brand and model out at me. I want them to have been used well. But yeah, let me know, because I'm after a new pair. These beasts, the Solomons, can you hear the jets? Ooh. The Solomons are perishing. I've had enough of them. Main two things. First and foremost, obviously comfort. I don't want them to chew my feet up, that goes without saying. And secondly, this is a massive one for me, man, and that's waterproofing. From my experience, I don't think you can get a hiking boot that's just waterproof forever, even if you look after them, and reproof them, etc. But if you know anything like that, if you've got a pair that's like well good waterproofing, please let me know, because that is a big one for me, man. I'll tell you what, I'd go as far as saying I'd even compromise on a bit of comfort for some good waterproof boots. I don't know if I actually mean that, but that's how important waterproofing is to me. Anyway, we're starting the hike. We'll get into it a little bit more as we're going up. But I do want to talk about my live view on my Nikon Z7 on my camera today, and the Viewfinder, and why I actually use both in sort of different scenarios. But we'll get into that when we find something to photograph. So as you can see, he's nailing it down. The waterproofs are donned. Good gosh, but I want to show you this. Look at this right behind me, this end of the valley. Look how dark that looks, it's wonderful. And then, right over there, on the opposite side of the valley, so close to all that darkness, we've got patches of sunlight on the fells. Absolutely wonderful, and that's exactly why I love coming out in these conditions for landscape photography. Oh. We're getting drenched, but it's straight out the top drawer. Oh, tell you what, look at that. Only the best on these hikes. The old Tunnocks caramel. So, let's talk about the Viewfinder or the LCD screen. This is the easiest example of when I would use the Viewfinder solely. Wouldn't even bother with the live view here, and that is, I've already taken the shot, so I'm faffing about with my Tunnocks. That is when I'm shooting handheld. It's as simple as it gets. I don't think I ever use the live view when I'm shooting handheld. Maybe if it's low down, you're getting proper low shots, and on my Z7 I've got that kind of flip screen thing there. If I'm low down and I'm trying to shoot handheld or frame up a shot or something, So for this image, if you can't tell, how I've composed it. It's probably quite obvious. We've got this wonderful dry stone wall here that's leading deeper into the scene, deeper into the composition, how I've composed it, you know, and we've got this land that undulates. Look at it around there. It just zigzags across itself for miles and miles. It's fantastic. And then right up in the background, it's completely changed now, but I think it's the Pennines. They were lit up by sunlight, so there was a nice light contrast between background and foreground. Absolutely brilliant. But yeah, no use of the live view here, especially on mirrorless as well, you know, because on mirrorless, basically your viewfinder is just a mini live view, I see it as. You know, it's not optical like it was on my old DSLRs and stuff like that. So it's great, you know, I can do everything in it. I can focus, I can magnify in on the image to make sure that the focus is correct. I can magnify on the preview after I've taken the image, all through the viewfinder. So it's fantastic. So yeah, for this composition, trying something perhaps a little bit different. It was actually hailstoning a minute ago. I noticed some of it down on the hiking track, and then it started coming down. So handheld, I think it was about 1/800th, maybe even 1/1000th of a second. So I had to put the ISO up a little bit as well. And what I was trying to do was actually capture those hailstones as they were falling down through my frame. So I don't know if it's going to have worked, but yeah, easiest and simplest example of when I would only use the viewfinder. Right, tunnocks. Oh, I just got tunnocks on the front of my lens. So right off in the distance, around about there, we've got the most amazing looking light. So I'm keen to start making my way up this mountain now. What's really attracted me to this particular Wainwright as well is the cragginess, the rocks, the cliffs, and looking at it from here, it looks like an absolute playground. So I'm keen to crack on. Just before I do, I'd like to say another big thank you to today's video sponsor, which is MPB. If you've never heard of them, MPB is a platform that you can use to buy or sell used photography or videography equipment. I've used them myself for over 3 years now. In fact, the very camera that is filming me now is purchased from MPB recently, used, and it's a Nikon Z7's. My favourite thing about purchasing gear from MPB is it takes away all the anxiety of buying used, because they've got such a class grading system. You know exactly what you're getting, basically. You know, you don't have to worry about what's going to be coming through the door. You also get a 6-month guarantee as well. That's something that I don't think I mention enough on every used purchase, which is incredible. You know, it's that peace of mind. Where MPB, I think, come into their own though, and this is even better, is where you can actually sell gear to them, sell used equipment to them, and they will send a courier to your house, take it away for you free of charge, and the money will be in your bank within a couple of days, of course, providing everything's all right with the gear that you're selling and things like that. So if you're like me and you've just got loads of used photography equipment lying about your gaff, definitely go and check them out. I'll leave all the information in the video description below. And yeah, another big thank you for them for their continued support. All right, let's crack on up towards this wonderful looking Wainwright. I'm doing a panic panel. Oh, goodness me. I've only come 2 minutes since the last photograph. It's that light. I mentioned it a second ago, didn't I? Off in the distance, it stayed there, which is fantastic. And now we've gained a tiny bit more height. We've got an even better view of it. It's an absolute vista. Across the way, we've got layers and layers of dark fells. And then I think it's what can only be mist or perhaps falling rain. It looks like mist. You know, when you get it in the middle of the valleys and it just brings out the ridge lines of them fells even more. It's amazing. Now, the only problem is, like I said, panic panel. I don't really know how to photograph it. I've tried a few really far zoomed in, 200mm, and put the Nikon Z7 in DX mode as well, crop sensor mode, so I'm getting even further in, 300mm or something. But I don't know. I've tried a few different aspect ratios, and now I'm trying the panic panel. That's what it is at the end of the day. And all it is really is some of these crags here I think look fantastic. I've tried to incorporate some of them on the right hand side of the frame to balance with all that heavy light on the left hand side of the frame. It's really cool, you know, there's loads of little trees that are just sticking up on some of the fell ridges, and with that light and that mist or whatever it is, it looks so cool. Even looking at it here in real life, it all looks very monochrome, which I like. However, I will keep it in colour because there's definitely like a slight tint of orange going on, and I do like that, very subtle. But yeah, I feel like I take a lot of these shots where I don't really know what I'm telling you. You know, it's nothing simple like I'm telling you exactly what I'm photographing. It's just, to be honest, it's one of them. We all know it. The light's nice. I'm pointing the camera at the light and just trying to form some sort of composition around it. This is a good example, by the way, of when I would only use the live view, opposite of the last shot. I've got it on the tripod. I'm doing a pano, so I've leveled out my tripod and all of that good stuff. And I've just got eyes on the viewfinder, eyes on the live view, getting myself confused, as I sweep across the scene like this, you know. Got my eyes on the histogram, got my eyes on the electronic level, everything. Settings stay the same, focus stays the same, of course, with it being a panel. But this is where, for me, the live view comes in so handy. Of course, I suppose you could use the viewfinder, couldn't you? But generally speaking, when I'm using the tripod, I will use the live view, pretty much always, except from 1 or 2 times, which I'll get into in the next photograph. It's something very annoying, but we'll see how this photograph turns out.
We got time on our side, we're in a state of hope. I need you on my fire. I want you to know that every time you're away, I long for you so much I can find my way. We got everything here, at least to stay alive, and the time that we share makes it all worthwhile. Got this place on our own. Do you feel that we got something strong? And I saw you walking the line, and the truth.
Oh, so we've made it up to the top of Shipman Knots, and let me tell you, the views are fantastic. However, the conditions have just completely changed. You can see I'm set up taking a shot there. It's gone like really pleasant, absolute classic Lakeland weather conditions. You seen it earlier, it was hailing it. Now, to be honest, if I was being greedy and fussy, which I always am as a landscape photographer, I would probably prefer the conditions earlier, or I definitely would. You know, when it was quite dramatic and moody, you know, I feel like it suits this sort of landscape a lot better. You know, this is quite dramatic in itself with all these crags. Now, we're about half an hour until sunset, and I'm trying to make the most of this nice golden light we've got at the minute. And that's what I'm doing with this photograph. So I'll show you in a second. Look at this. Look at the state of this. I'll show you. Got all my gear down here drying. There's the waterproofs. Yeah, obviously the bag. It's all drenched, man. Drying in the sun. If you'd have told me I'd be drying stuff in the sun, I don't know, even half an hour ago, I'd have told you were mad. But yeah, other than this shot, I don't think I'm seeing any other compositions as beautiful as it is. You know, we've got some really nice fells from up here. We've got Windermere right off there in the distance, you may be able to see. But yeah, it's all about the light. And this composition's all right. It's all right. I'll talk you through it now. I'll tell you what, I knew this was going to happen. I don't know if I just said it then, I can't remember, but this brings back memories of being on the fells. The sun has basically gone well before sunset, or, you know, before the end of golden hour, because we've just got quite a big bank of cloud actually on the horizon where the sun's going down. And that's it, gone. He's behind that cloud now, he's snuffed out. See you later. See you next time, Mr. Sun. But, fortunately, it's been one of them where I've got up to the top quite early. If you watch me regularly, especially when I was doing my Wainwrights, you know that's quite unlike me. I'm always late. But it was nice to be early because it meant I've had this composition nailed down for about 40 minutes. And all I've been doing is waiting for the light. Camera on tripod. There's your dinner. So I caught it. The light probably could have been softer. We could have been deeper into the golden hour. But at the very least, I caught it when it was at its best. You know, we had some nice golden light. You're going to have to imagine now. We had some nice golden light on this dry stone wall, hitting the side of it, on the crags. And then, yeah, the composition, again, it's fairly simple. It's quite similar to the very first image that I got. I think, you know, when I was shooting handheld and we had the hailstones, except from here, it's a bit more of a grander vista. I'm definitely a lot wider. Yeah, I'm like 26 mil, something like that. And again, it's the dry stone wall leading us down. And we've got a tarn, you can probably see at the bottom right-hand corner there. Some of these crags, some of the distant fells on the left-hand side. To be honest, the light was really nice. It was. The only thing I've done to note, because this is such a simple image, this is one of them. Get to the top of a fell, you've done the work, you've got yourself these wonderful views. Just take a little bit of time to think about composition. But the only thing I've had to really think about is the sky's been fairly rubbish off in the distance. You know, there's a lot of blue sky there, there's no drama. So all I've done is just angle the camera down ever so slightly. Now going back to the topic of this video, this has been a pretty good example actually. There are some times where I will actually use the viewfinder even though I'm on the tripod. And this is what I would call like ultimate fine tuning. My general approach for every photograph is I start off using the viewfinder handheld, then I put the camera on the tripod and use the live view, but then sometimes I'll fine tune even more and I'll use the viewfinder whilst I'm on the tripod. For one, I just find it really, really helps, especially if it's bright, to just really be able to focus on the edges of my frame, you know, as I'm zooming in and out or moving the camera around on the tripod, whatever. But secondly, and mates, this is well annoying, I'm going to bring you over for this one. Right, I don't know if you can see this. I've definitely mentioned this before on this channel. This is a Nikon Z7 Mark I. For those of you that know, you know exactly what I'm going to say here. On the live view, let me just bring it back up. You can't get, there's no option to get rid of everything off the screen. If anyone knows the way, by the way, let me know, but I think it's just something they've never put in. So you toggle through, generally you toggle through, don't you, when you're on your live view. If you want to look at your live histogram, which I've got there, then I can toggle again, look at my electronic meter, and then usually you'd be able to toggle so all the rubbish, all the crap comes off the screen. Why wouldn't you want that, you know, so that you can see your whole composition? On the Nikon Z7 Mark I, you can't do it. That's the best you can get, as you've seen it there. Still got all this absolute nonsense around the corner. I say nonsense, it's important stuff that is, but I can't get it so that it's literally just a rectangle that's showing me my photograph. Madness, showing me how I'm framing it up. So that's daft, and that's probably, to be fair, probably the only thing that I don't like about my camera, about the Nikon Z7 Mark I. So to get to my point, that's why sometimes as well I use the viewfinder when I'm on the tripod, because you can do it through the viewfinder. You can get rid of everything from the screen, you know, all the icons, the histogram, everything, so you can just see your little rectangle. So sometimes I actually feel forced to use the viewfinder as opposed to the live view when I'm on the tripod or whatever. But yeah, anyway, bit of a babble there. I think, yeah, I've definitely got the best version of this photograph. I don't know if it's going to be any good, but it's been lovely to be back out in the fells actually. And thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your support so much. Just a quick mention actually, before I show you this photograph. I've got a very few amount of my landscape photography calendars left, 2023, like a handful, honestly. So if you want to get any, now's probably the only chance. If you want it for yourself or like a Christmas gift, anything like that, now's your chance. It'll be in the video description below. But anyway, thanks again. I hope you like this last photograph, and I shall see you on the next adventure. Out.